The Kythera had ruled the outer spiral for 3 millennia, and their dominion was built on a simple principle: the strong devoured the weak. Standing 8 feet tall on powerful digitigrade legs, with razor-sharp claws and teeth designed for tearing flesh, they were evolution's perfect predators. Their empire stretched across 47 star systems, each one littered with the bones of species too weak to resist. Commander Zethkar surveyed the bridge of his flagship, the Blood Hunter, as it approached the small blue-green world his scouts had discovered. Intelligence reports indicated a primitive species called humans inhabited the planet: bipedal, soft-skinned creatures with no natural weapons, no thick hide, no venomous fangs. Perfect prey. "Scan complete, Commander," his tactical officer hissed through serrated teeth. "Population approximately 8 billion. No significant orbital defenses. Their most advanced weapons appear to be chemical explosives and crude projectile launchers." Zethkar's mandibles clicked in amusement. The Kythera had encountered thousands of species in their expansion, and the pattern was always the same. The weak would surrender immediately upon seeing their ships begging for mercy that never came. The moderately strong might resist for a few days before their morale broke. The truly foolish would fight to the bitter end, earning themselves nothing but a more painful extinction. These humans would likely fall into the first category. The invasion fleet descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. 12 massive dreadnoughts, each capable of glassing a continent, accompanied by hundreds of smaller vessels. Zethkar expected the humans to broadcast surrender within hours. Instead, his communications officer received something unexpected. "Commander," the officer reported, confusion evident in his voice, "the humans are talking to us." "Surrender terms?" Zethkar asked. "No, sir. They're asking if we come in peace." Zethkar's laugh was a sound like breaking glass. Naive children. Open a channel to their leaders. When the transmission connected, Zethkar found himself looking at a small, elderly human female sitting behind a wooden desk. Her hair was gray, her skin weathered, and she possessed none of the physical prowess that typically marked a species' leaders. Yet her eyes held something that made him pause, a coldness that seemed familiar. "I am Secretary General Chen of the United Nations," the human said calmly. "We've been monitoring your fleet. Are you here to establish diplomatic relations?" "I am Commander Zethkar of the Kythera Imperium," he replied, allowing his full predatory visage to fill the screen. "We are here to claim this world and harvest its resources. Your species will serve as livestock. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift." The human's expression didn't change. "I see. In that case, Commander, you should know that you've made a significant tactical error." "And what error is that, pray thing?" "You've assumed that teeth and claws make a predator," Chen said quietly. "But the most dangerous predators in the universe don't rely on natural weapons, they create them." The transmission ended. Within minutes, Zethkar's sensors began detecting launches from the planet's surface. Not the primitive missiles they'd observed, but something else entirely. "Commander," his tactical officer's voice cracked with uncertainty, "those aren't conventional warheads. They appear to be nuclear fusion devices, hundreds of them." Zethkar's confidence wavered. Nuclear weapons were typically a late-stage technology for most species, usually developed only after achieving interstellar travel. These humans were supposedly primitive. The first wave of missiles struck his outer destroyers. The explosions were blinding, each one equivalent to a small star's death. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds simply vanished. "Evasive maneuvers," Zethkar roared, but the humans had already demonstrated they understood orbital mechanics better than expected. More missiles rose from the planet, these ones moving impossibly fast and maneuvering in ways that defied physics. "Sir," his science officer stammered, "they're using some form of gravity manipulation for propulsion. And their targeting systems, they're tracking our movements before we make them." As if summoned by his words, massive structures began rising. From Earth's oceans, structures that had been hidden beneath the surface. They bristled with weapons that made the Kythera's energy cannons look primitive. Particle beams lanced out, turning the Kithara's shields into light shows before cutting through their hulls like paper. "How is this possible?" Zethkar demanded. "Our intelligence said they were primitive." His communications officer looked up with terror in his eyes. "Sir, I'm receiving a message from the human leader." Chen's face appeared on screen again, unchanged. Behind her, Zethkar could see what looked like a command center filled with screens and humans working at incomprehensible devices. "You seem confused, Commander," she said. "Let me clarify something about human nature. We are indeed a young species, only a few thousand years of recorded civilization, but we didn't survive to reach the stars by being prey." The view behind her shifted, showing images that made Zethkar's blood run cold. Massive creatures, predators far larger and more fearsome than the Kithra, lying extinct while humans stood over them. Cave paintings of humans hunting beasts with crude spears, historical footage of humans fighting wars with increasingly sophisticated weapons. "We are what happens when prey becomes the predator," Chen continued. "We spent our entire evolutionary history being hunted by things stronger, faster, and more dangerous than us, so we learned to be smarter. We learned to make tools. We learned to fight as one." Another wave of Kithara ships disappeared under human fire. "Your mistake, Commander, was assuming that natural weapons matter in the age of technology. Claws are useless against kinetic bombardment. Teeth mean nothing to antimatter warheads. And intimidation?" Chen's smile was colder than the void between stars. "We've been scaring ourselves with stories of monsters far worse than you for millennia." Zethkar watched his invasion fleet, the pride of the Kithara Imperium, being systematically dismantled by a species he'd dismissed as weak. His sensors showed human ships emerging from the dark side of their moon, sleek predators that had been lying in wait. "Retreat," he commanded. "All ships jump to hyperspace." "Sir," his navigator reported, "hyperspace is being jammed. They're generating some kind of gravity well." Chen's voice cut through the chaos on his bridge. "Oh, Commander, we're not done. Yet. You see, when a predator enters human territory and threatens our young, we don't just defend. We hunt it down to ensure it never threatens anyone again." The human fleet moved with precision that spoke of centuries of warfare against their own kind. They herded the surviving Kithara ships like wolves corralling prey, cutting off escape routes and eliminating vessels one by one. In his final moments, as human boarding parties breached his flagship, Zethkar understood the truth. The Kithara had spent 3 millennia believing themselves apex predators, but they had been nothing more than scavengers feeding on the weak. Humans were what happened when evolution's prey decided to become evolution's end. Secretary General Chen stood in the ruins of the Kithara command bridge, looking down at the fallen alien commander. Around her, human soldiers secured the vessel while scientists examined the alien technology. "Ma'am," her aide approached carefully, "what should we do about the rest of their empire?" Chen's expression remained unchanged as she considered the dozens of enslaved worlds, the billions of beings who had suffered under Kithara rule. "Ready the fleet," she said quietly. "It seems we have some liberating to do." The Kithara had feasted on the weak for 3,000 years. Their meal was over,